The Return of Sanguinius. A couple of years ago, I would have slapped myself silly just for uttering those words. But with what we're seeing with Warhammer 40,000 in terms of lore, in terms of actual Sanguinius, the Blood Angels, the returning Primarchs that we've had returned, I can actually see Games Workshop going down a path where we get Mr. Golden Hawk Boy returning to us. Now, in this video, I'm going to be looking at some of the lore aspects, the theories, the fandom, everything like that, putting them all in one ball and throwing it down and trying to get a strike. So if you want to join me, then please join me. This feels like a foil video, but it's not a foil video because it's actually not insane. It actually makes sense in a way. So let's jump in and let's get waffling. Now, the first big question to ask ourselves is what happened to Sanguinius' body? There's been a lot of talk about this, but we actually got to the bottom of what officially happened. This is mentioned in an official book from Black Library. Yes, it's an old book. Maybe they've changed their minds, but this is the only text that we have about Sanguinius' body. It's from a book called The Red First by James Swallow. I personally thought that when they took Sanguinius back to Baal, they just left him in a coffin underneath the fortress monastery, and he was just left to rot away, and all that was left was his bones. That is that. But I was completely wrong. I'm sure a lot of people are about to get a lesson, really, what happened to Sanguinius' body. So I'm going to put the text up in the background now so you can read it along with me. It says, contained within a globe of suspended time, the mantle of liquid metal had never been allowed to cool or solidify, not once in 10,000 years, for beneath it lay the flesh of the Emperor's son, the great angel and lord of the blood, master of the 9th Legion of Statis, Primarch among Primarchs, the noble Sanguinius. So that passage of text, the first line in it says suspended time. That is basically a fancy word for being in stasis. He's literally in like a coffin of liquid metal, like I don't know, like, is it like gold, like liquid gold or something? He's splashing around in there, maybe to keep his face nice and gold. I mean, I really don't know why the liquid gold's in there, but the main thing is it's suspended in time. So literally, just like Gilliman when he had his throat cut, they put him in stasis, so he's got to stay as fresh as possible. He's not going to wake up looking like Lionel Johnson, you know, that old man type of Tywin Lannister look. He's still going to look like a fresh-faced, glorious, gorgeous Primarch. But of course, to add to that, a body in 40k is just an instrument. We know like souls exist, psychic essences and stuff like that. And we've actually seen evidence of this. Now, from Aaron Dembski-Bowden's Black Legion series, which is all about Abaddon and, you know, his path and how he goes from there, we do now have reference that there's some type of essence of Sanguinius still alive on the Vengeful Spirit. And when I say still alive, it's he basically has meetings with his like commanders and stuff like that, and sometimes a like crystal glass shard of Sanguinius appears, and he's very hurt. He's more like in mourning for like Horus and stuff like that. Like this is where it all went down, of course, with Horus and Sanguinius and the Emperor. There's so much story attached to the Vengeful Spirit, so it makes sense for this type of psychic essence, this type of echo, let's say, to still be present on the Vengeful Spirit. And the Black Legionnaires who are actually on the ship just go around, just every time they see it, they smash it and stuff like that, just to laugh at Sanguinius. But we know there's something there in terms of a soul shard, maybe some type of essence of his psychic being. Don't forget, right, when Magnus basically died or was defeated by Leman Russ on Prospero, his body was split into different shards. One of those shards remained loyal and technically founded the Grey Knights. The other shards became what Magnus is now. But that could probably happen with Sanguinius, because Sanguinius was a great psyker. You know, he had the gift of foresight and stuff. The main psychers are part of the Sons of the Emperor, with, of course, Magnus, the top dog. You can argue like Lorgar was up there, Sanguinius and Conrad Kurz were also a part of that. So I actually do think that, in a way, the soul of Sanguinius is broken up and is maybe still alive. One of them shards is on the Vengeful Spirit. Maybe there's other shards spread out across the galaxy, just what happened with Magnus. And let's not forget one of the biggest pieces of evidence in all of this, and that is the Guy Haley book, The Devastation of Baal. It's actually a trilogy of books. You have Dante, Devastation of Baal, and Darkness in the Blood, but Devastation of Baal is where it happens. Devastation of Baal, turret attack, there's a massive battle. Dante is more or less like gravely injured. He's on death's door. He's ready to kick it in, and then he sees Sanguinius, and he's like, oh, you know, I finally see my Gene Father. I'm ready to be taken. My service is complete, kind of thing. And Sanguinius basically says, no, it's not complete. You need to go back, my son. You need to keep on the fight. The Blood Angels need you, etc., etc., etc. Now, you could take that as kind of like a fever dream, because Dante is on his last legs, go to say he's about to die, but Sanguinius sends him back. I personally think that is actually true. I actually do think Sanguinius appeared before him, which brings in another level of mystery. Like, is there like another plane of existence that the Emperor is keeping his most loyal sons in, like their essence, their psychic essence? It's not being fed to the warp. The power of faith, is that creating like this kind of beacon for the Primarchs to communicate? Because the faith itself now in Warhammer 40,000 is becoming a huge weapon. I personally think that's why the Emperor is gathering as much faith as possible to actually combat chaos in a massive way. I'm sure that's like another video for another time. I don't want to start confusing people. But personally, that scene in the book really inspired me to think, okay, maybe there is some truth to this fandom of people saying Sanguinius is going to return. So that's the evidence stuff that we've talked about. Let's talk about the lore aspect of Sanguinius actually coming back. If Sanguinius came back to the 40k setting, I think things would change dramatically. Like, Sanguinius is basically the closest thing to what we have for the Emperor being reborn. Yes, Guilliman has the Emperor's sword, the Lion has his shield, but Sanguinius, I personally think, would be the Emperor. Like, he literally is an angel. Like, he's got his wings, he's got everything. There's a holiday named after Sanguinius in the Imperium for his sacrifice at the Eternigate. You know, it's these massive things. To have that figure returning to 40k lore would be an absolutely mammoth change to the story and to the setting. I really don't know how they could do it in terms of like storing, like, you know, what other big characters you can bring to face Sanguinius. Yes, you could probably have Abaddon, but you know, Abaddon versus Sanguinius, let's face it, I don't care if he's got backing by all the Chaos Gods. Sanguinius is Sanguinius at the end of the day. You know, he DDTs anyone he comes across. He's literally just the Emperor's wrath manifest. It is just a next level in terms of fighting stuff. So there's got to have to be a threat out there which is on the level of Sanguinius, and at this moment in time, I don't really see that. You can argue you get the Tyranids, that they just have the numbers though, and you know, it's not really like if Sanguinius were 1 versus 1, any Tyranid. Is he anything out there? Please give me reference in the lore. Just give me anything. Where could they go with the story if they brought Sanguinius back? Where? Like, who could face down like Sanguinius himself? Who could do a 1 versus 1 again? What, they're going to bring Horus back? We've already had that, right? They're not going to bring Horus back when Abaddon's around again. Yeah, they can have all the traitor Primarchs coming back, but still, Sanguinius would 1 versus 1 any traitor Primarch with ease, in my opinion, with complete ease. He would take any of them down. So to have that figure coming back in the setting, you're going to need to have the foundation of a story of, you know, this is why we need Sanguinius back, because once he's back, I'm telling you, the Imperium is going to be stronger than anything in the galaxy, especially with all the stuff with Faith and everything that's been happening, and all the other Primarchs that are probably going to be around him, like Guilliman and the Lion, Rogel Dawn, etc. Right? All these Primarchs that will be back, again, defending the Imperium. So that was the lore side of things. Again, it's, you know, it's sketchy. You know, it's kind of connecting the dots in there. There's not really a lot of evidence really that connects Sanguinius coming back. But in this part of the video, I want to try and jump in to look at it from a business type of view, a fandom type of view. I'm going to start with my view first, because I'm sure there's a lot of people that may agree, that may disagree with me. You know, take it for what you will. I always thought, right, Sanguinius should stay dead. Like, his whole arc in the Horus Heresy, his whole arc in the Siege of Terror, is knowing that he's going to this death. The great sacrifice of Sanguinius, the noble sacrifice, the greatest Primarch of Primarchs, giving his life to save the Emperor, to stop Horus, to stop the Horus Heresy, to stop everything in its tracks. It was a great ending to Sanguinius, and I'm sure it's going to be an epic duel once we get there with the last end of the Death book. But recently, I've been thinking, and I've been seeing where the story has been going now in Warhammer 40,000. We've got Guilliman back, we've got the Lion back. Do we deserve Sanguinius to come back? Now, don't forget, these were some of the key players in the Imperium Secundus. Is that what we're going to try and, you know, start bringing out again? People are arguing that maybe Dante is going to be that third triumphant because he's the king of the north when it comes to the Imperium Nihilus. But there's been a lot of talk about, well, what if Sanguinius comes back as like the Sanguinor Reborn or something like that? And my opinion on that, right, is if they're going to bring back Sanguinius, if they bring that character back, I don't want like a cheap knockoff of Sanguinius. I don't want him to merge with Dante. I don't want him to merge with the Sanguinor. I just want the Primarch for what he is, right? Don't do like a mini Sanguinius. If you're going to bring someone back like Sanguinius, then bring Sanguinius back. It's as simple as that. Will it make sense? Probably not. But the way that Games Workshop's going with the story, with bringing as many Primarchs back as possible, yes, I can definitely see that's what's happening. Because a lot of people look at this through the visualization that 40k is a story. And yeah, you know, it has some great lore attached to it. But at the end of the day, Warhammer 40,000, aka Games Workshop, is a business. And a business always goes where the money is. And let's face it, right? If they brought back Sanguinius in a model format in Warhammer 40,000, that is like printing their own currency. It's as simple as that. That's as simple as I can make it. Primarchs sell money. Again, people like, well, that affects the story, Valrak. That affects the narrative. Yes, I completely agree. But at the end of the day, they go where the money is. It's as simple. We see it all the time. This is why Primarchs keep coming back. This is why they're going to bring more Primarchs back to the 40k setting. You may hate it, but that's what they're doing because it generates money. And at the end of the day, Games Workshop has to make money for the investors of that company. I know it sounds sucky, but that's what a business is. I'm sorry, right? If you don't like that, that's what it is. I'm not supporting that, right? I think, right, yeah, some Primarchs should come back because I love Primarchs, but there's some Primarchs that should stay like completely gone, like out of the picture. Sanguinius, for me, is one of those Primarchs that should stay out of it. But I can definitely see now them bringing Sanguinius back just because the way we're going. Yes, I'm sure we're going to have plenty more Primarchs going back, maybe before Sanguinius's return or, you know, potential return. You've still got people like Jagatai Khan, Vulcan, Lehman Russ, Rogel Dawn. These Primarchs have come back to the set. Even Constantine Valdor, right? Valdor is another one. Valdor basically is a Primarch. But I definitely do see Games Workshop one day bringing Sanguinius back now. That is my personal viewpoint on this subject matter. Anyway, I'm going to leave it at that. Thank you for coming. Thank you for watching. Yes, this is a weird Blood Angel Day, Sanguinius Day. Tell me what you think. Am I insane? Do you think Games Workshop will bring him back? Do you think he's just gonna keep dead and stuff like that? Again, for me, I'm looking at this more from a business point rather than a lore point, because we know that Games Workshop does the models first and then does the lore, the story, the rules all second. It's all about models. It's all about selling the models. GW is a model business, right? It's not a lore business. It's not a story. Yes, they have stories and lores attached to it, but at the end of the day, its core element is making models and selling models. That is what they do. Right, enough waffling. Thank you for coming. Thank you for watching as always. Have a great day. See you in a bit, and bye-bye.